The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and thank you all for joining us today for our webinar, How to Build, Promote, and Grow Your Online Business with 3dCart. My name is Henry Suarez, and I'm the product manager here at 3dCart. Now, many of you attending the webinar today are either brand new customers or you're currently using the demo version of 3dCart to see what we have to offer. So I'd like to take a special moment to welcome you all to 3dCart. Now, as the title of this webinar suggests, our purpose today is to go over some of the basic tools available to you with 3dCart and hopefully get you started in running your stores. At the end of today's presentation, I should have some time left over for a quick question and answer session, and I'll do my best to answer anything we may have in the allotted time. But if I miss anyone, just send me an email and I'll make sure to get your questions answered as quickly as possible. As you can see by the slide there, my email address is simply henry@3dcart.com. Now, since many of you are brand new to 3dCart, I just wanted to go over some brief info about our company just so you can get to know us a little bit better. We launched 3dCart in 1997. The gentlemen that founded the company were originally customizing and in some cases actually developing shopping cart software for their merchant clients. And after doing this for some time, they noticed the demand for specific features that their clients kept asking for over and over again, specifically an all-in-one solution that was easy to use, it was customizable, and didn't really require a degree in programming to manage. They weren't able to find a viable solution for their own clients, so our founders created one, and they named it 3dCart, and we've been growing pretty much ever since. Now, one of the things you will notice about us is that we take our customer feedback very seriously. In fact, most of the features that you're about to see in a few minutes here actually came about through customer interactions and recommendations and whatnot, so believe me when I say we actively listen to our customer feedback. Now, when we began researching for this particular webinar, we wanted to address the most common startup questions that merchants had when they first began setting up their stores. So we polled our customers and we asked them what their main challenges were starting out. This slide here shows us, the top 5 answers that we got. Number 1 on the list was getting started. Merchants had a tough time knowing where to begin. They'd log in and see this overwhelming collection of features available to them and not really know where to start from there. Number 2 on the list was building the store. It kind of harks back to the overwhelming nature of a lot of shopping carts. Merchants simply weren't sure which tools were right for them when adding a product or a payment option or whatnot. Number 3 on the list was designing the store. With a lot of shopping carts, merchants ran into design issues where they felt they had to hire a web designer just to make a basic change. Number 4 on the list, SEO and marketing. Again, something most merchants felt they needed external help with, so they'd go out of their way and hire a quote-unquote SEO expert and not really see any difference in their rankings after all. And lastly, managing the store. Merchants were frustrated at the amount of time they spent getting the first 4 issues addressed that ultimately, at the end of the day, they didn't have time to process their orders, ship their orders, and manage their store. So for today's webinar, our point is to discuss some of the options available to you as 3dCart merchants and hopefully help relieve some of these stresses. We'll go over building the store using the tools available to you. I'll show you a couple of ways in which you can add products to your stores. We'll go over some of the traffic generation tools that you have at your disposal. And lastly, we'll go over some of the tools you can use when your store takes off to that next level and you need more automation available instead of you doing all of the legwork. So with all that being said, let's look at the design tools. It's usually the most daunting portion for people, so let's kind of jump right into it. Give me a moment here while I log into our test account real quick here. Here we go. All right, so this is the 3dCart Online Store Manager. It goes by many different names. The official name is Online Store Manager, but you'll hear it referred to as the Control Panel, the Admin Panel, 3dCart Admin, etc. But if you ever hear any of those names, this is what they're referring to, the Online Store Manager. Now, when you first log into the Online Store Manager, you'll see a 30-day snapshot of how your business is doing. This is really just a test store, so I don't have many sales. Your stores will look vastly different than this. Now, at the top, there are some navigation elements, but the majority of your time will be spent using these navigation elements over on the left-hand side. I'll go over some of the more common ones in just a moment. Now, as I did mention, there are a few navigation elements at the top, but the one I really want to point out is this View Store button. When you click on it, what it does is it opens up a separate tab or a separate browser window, depending on how you have your browser set up, and it shows you your storefront just as your customers would see it. However, since you're logged in as an administrator, you have access to this bar down here at the bottom, which is called the Quick Design bar. And this allows you to make changes to your site pretty much from the storefront itself. There's a series of icons at the bottom right of it. The first icon looks like a palette and brush that an artist would use. That is your design editor. This is where you can make basic design changes to your site. For example, let's say I am the merchant on this store and I want my store to fill the complete width of the screen. I would just go to the screen width here and I would click on the 100% and it'll update it for me in real time. I personally like the tabled look a little bit, so I'm going to go back to that. I could also remove individual elements from the storefront. For example, if I didn't want to have a browse by price, I would just go here and uncheck price groups. If I didn't want to have a mailing list, I would uncheck that. Tell you what, I don't want to show my top sellers or my new releases either, so we'll remove those as well. And lastly, we have what's called a drag and drop mode. Every 3dCart template has a left banner and a right banner. And there's different design elements contained within those banners. Well, when you turn on the drag and drop mode, what it does is it adds these, I call them manipulator icons. It adds these to the individual elements, and from that point you can simply click and drag it to wherever you want it to be. And once you turn off your drag and drop mode, and let's refresh the page there, your settings are changed. All right, let's go ahead and move that back real quick. And let's refresh. There we go. And again, that's the drag and drop mode, turning it on or off. The last thing I want to show in the design editor is the template selector, or the theme selector, I should call it. Right now, this particular store is using the default Welcome to 3dCart template, which is a nice template. I'm very fond of this template, but it's going to clash a little bit with the logo I'm about to add. So let's go ahead and select a different template. You'll see a button that says Get More Templates, and when you click on that, it opens up a separate browser window here that takes you directly to your Themes and Styles section of the 3dCart Online Store Manager. Now you'll notice that there's a series of tabs here. The two main tabs I want to point out are Available Templates and Install Templates. The reason we have that is because the 3dCart templates themselves are 100% customizable. So when you install a template from the Available Template pool, it moves it into this tab here. The reason we have that is because if you ever make a mistake or you need to revert back to the original template, you can always go back to the available templates and just reinstall the theme itself, overwriting any changes you may have made. So it's there for a safety reason. Now, selecting a template is as simple as finding the template and clicking on its install button. Let's go ahead and use this one. When you click on install, what it does is it'll ask you if you want to install the template right now. It basically downloads the template to your Install Templates tab, and by clicking OK, I'm going to apply it. All right, now let's close all of this, and we should have our new template applied. There we go. And again, that's under the first icon, the design editor, and it's under Get More Templates. The next icon over, it's two capital letter A's. That is your content editor. That's where you'll be able to make edits to your home page. You can add additional content pages. I'm going to use this tool to add a logo to my site. Under Advanced Tools, you'll see Header and Footer. When you click on that, it takes you directly to the Header and Footer section of your online store manager. Let's open that a bit. And you'll see three sections here. There's one for store name, one for store slogan, and one for the logo. Now, these three fields right now are this top left-hand corner of the template. This particular template has it on the top left-hand corner. Some of the templates have it in the center. Some of them have it on the far right. We chose this one just because it's easier to see on the left-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify my logo. I've already uploaded the logo here, but if you click on Browse, it'll take you to your file manager where you can also upload the logo if you need to. I already have it uploaded, so we're going to save a little bit of time. And we'll click Save Changes, and we'll see how our changes are coming along. All right, so there is our new logo. Now, one thing I want to point out about the header and footer section, let's move this over again. Now, as I mentioned, This top left-hand corner here is being controlled by these three fields. You'll notice, though, that once I added a logo, it kind of ignores these first two fields. The reason for that is because there's simply no room for a name, a slogan, and a logo all at the same time. So the question comes up, well, what if I wanted to have a slogan with my logo? There's a couple of different options you can use for that. The most common option is to have the slogan part of the logo image. That's one option. That way you only upload one image. It has the slogan on it, and you're all set. Another option is to use HTML. You'll notice underneath these three fields, there's also a section called Global Header. This section also controls this top portion of the template. It's turned off by default because we're initially favoring whatever's in these first two fields, but once I enable it, anything I write in this box will be translated to the top portion. Now this particular box will take either straight text or HTML coding. Now if you don't know HTML, there's nothing to worry about because we have what's called a WYSIWYG mode. WYSIWYG is an old computer acronym. It stands for what you see is what you get. And when you turn it on, what it does is it turns that field where you would normally place text, and it turns it into sort of a word processing type of an environment where you can format your text. So I'm going to use WYSIWYG and our global header here to recreate my logo and add a slogan at the same time. There's a button for image. I'll click on that and I'll browse to my logo image here. And we'll insert it. And beneath it, we'll write our slogan. And since I'm using WYSIWYG, we can format this text. Let's make it a thicker font. Let's make it slightly larger. And lastly, let's colorize it a bit. Now, the really neat thing about the WYSIWYG mode is when you turn it off after formatting all of your stuff, it actually shows you the HTML that was created for it. Believe it or not, a lot of our merchants have actually learned basic HTML just by using the WYSIWYG mode, so it has a sort of a dual purpose. All right, so let's enable the global header and let's save our changes. Now, as I mentioned, once I have the global header enabled, it's pretty much going to overwrite whatever is in these three fields because we're favoring all of this stuff. So let's have a look at it and see how it's coming along. There we go. There's our logo with our HTML coded slogan. So as you can see, it's really easy to make these changes. You don't need to hire a web designer to do it. We try to build a lot of the stuff into the store for you. And again, that's under the content editor, which is the second icon, and it's header and footer. Now, the third icon on your design bar, looks like a t-shirt. That is your product editor. That's where you'll be able to add products to your store. For the purpose of today's webinar, I'm going to go through the three main ways of adding a product. This is by far the easiest, and this is adding a product right from the storefront, so you can see how the product is evolving as you add it. Now, for this webinar, let's say I'm selling cell phones. I'm going to create a category for a particular brand of cell phone, my HTC brand, and we'll click on Add Category. Now, it's going to do a couple of different things all at once. First, it's going to create the category. Secondly, it's going to take me to the category. It's going to add the category to my category tree. And lastly, it's going to open up the quick editor for the category so that I can continue further refining it. From this point, I can add subcategories, or I can just jump right in and start adding products. So let's go ahead and add our product, our HTC Wildfire cell phone. Retails for about $260, and we'll just make up a SKU number here for it. And we'll click on Add Product. Now, similarly, when you add the product, it does a couple of different things again. It'll add the product to the store. It'll take you to the product. And lastly, it opens up the quick editor for the product so that I can further refine it. For example, you'll notice that it says the product is out of stock. That's simply because I haven't specified an inventory number for it yet. So let's say I have 75 units. We'll click on Apply Changes, and that availability should say in stock. There we go. Now let's add an image to our product. You'll notice that there's a link for Change Image. When you click on that, the interface itself is going to give you two separate options. The first option is select an image you've already uploaded. The second option is to select an image from your computer, browser, desktop, etc. Again, to save time, I already have one uploaded, so let's go ahead and select that one. Here we go. Okay, so when you specify an image for a product, the 3dCart interface itself will also take that main image and it'll shrink it down for thumbnail use. The thumbnail images come into play when you're looking at a category view of the image or of the product. Anywhere in the store where a smaller version of the product is shown, that's your thumbnail. Well, with 3dCart, by default, it'll use that same image and shrink it down for thumbnail purposes. Some merchants have their own thumbnails that they prefer to use. Well, just simply uncheck that box and update the product and you're all set. For our purposes, we'll leave it checked. And there's our image. One thing we have on by default is this feature. It's called 3D Zoom. And basically what it does is it hovers, whenever you hover your mouse over the product image, it kind of zooms up to the large version of it. If your customer were to click on the image, it pops out with the full version of the image. This is an option you can turn on or off however you see fit. It's in the store settings. A lot of our merchants really liked this product or this feature, so we kept it on by default. All right, now from this quick editor, I can pretty much do anything I need to with the product as far as adding it and editing it, just as I would be able to from the online store manager. But we're going to use this opportunity to segue into the second way of adding products, which is through the online store manager. Now, here's our online store manager again. And if you go to Products, View Edit, it'll show you a complete listing of all of your products. From this point, you could either add a brand new product or edit an existing one. Regardless of whether you're adding a new one or editing an existing one, it takes you pretty much to the same screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this HTC Wildfire we just created, and we'll further refine it from the back end here so you can see the different tabs that are available to you. The first tab you'll see is the Information tab. This is where you'll have the basic info for your product. For example, the ID, the name. We'll add a short description, which comes into play for SEO purposes. So let's just say it's HTC's next-gen smartphone. We'll save that. I can add it to categories, multiple categories. I can configure the pricing info for it. One thing I like to point out to our merchants is this cost field. The cost field is simply what the product costs you as a merchant. It has no bearing on anything your customers will ever see. It's simply there for internal reporting purposes. I'll show you a report later on that kind of uses this cost field. So let's say for argument's sake, the phone is actually about $220 that I buy it for. We'll save that. I can configure my shipping options, my inventory stock. I can also add a description for the product. Now, a second ago, you saw me create a short description. Now, the short description is really just a quick blurb about the product. It comes into play for SEO purposes. When you're looking at a category listing of the product, it usually shows the shorter version of the description. This description, on the other hand, is, we call it the extended description. That's where you could really showcase the product. You can add bulleted points, paragraphs of the product, all the different features of it. Now, this particular box will take either text or HTML. And again, if you don't know HTML, you have WYSIWYG at your disposal. I already have some HTML that I had saved here, so let's turn on WYSIWYG mode so you can see what it looked like when I first created it. There we go. All right, and lastly, we have the keywords section. Now, the keywords also come into play for search engine purposes, search engine optimization. Not only external search engines like Google and Yahoo, but also your site's internal search engines. Now, with keywords, you should separate them with a comma, keywords or phrases. So let's go ahead and paste a few that we have ready-made here. And we'll save that. And let's turn off WYSIWYG mode real quick here. All right, the next tab I want to showcase is the Images tab. This is where you'll be able to specify images for your products, obviously. There's our main image and thumbnail we created just a second ago. I can also add additional images for my product. For example, this particular phone has a camera on the other side. I'd like to showcase that. So I'm going to browse to a second image showcasing the camera. There we go. And we'll update that. We also have what's called the Browse YouTube button. What this does is it takes the name of the product and it simply does a search on YouTube for any videos related to that name. This comes in very handy if you sell commercial products. You can add a viral commercial video of the product, maybe a demo of the product, maybe a review of the product on your product page. And again, all it does is it takes the name of the product and it browses YouTube for it. And let's see what we can come up with. Here's a good one, a review. We'll select that. And when you click on select, it automatically adds all of the embed code for you. Now, as I mentioned, this does come in handy if you sell commercial products, but let's look at the flip side of the coin. Let's say it's a custom-made product that you and only you make. Well, in that case, what you can do is you can have a video describing the product that you upload yourself to YouTube, and then you can use the Browse YouTube to find that particular video and embed it as well. So there's an option there as well. All right, let's go ahead and save this, and let's have a look at our product to see how it's coming along. Here's another tip I like to showcase to our merchants. Whenever you're editing a product in this fashion, you'll always see the catalog ID, which is basically the database ID of the product, as well as a link directly to the product. When you click on it, it takes you right to the product. This little link is a time saver if you happen to have a product that's within a subcategory of a subcategory of another subcategory. Rather than you having to navigate your own store just to see the product, click on that link and it takes you directly to it. All right, so here's our product. There's our two images. Our 3D zoom is turned on. If I click on the second image, it does a little bit of a morphing in and out effect, and it also has 3D zoom on it. We have our pricing information. There's our description we added, and there's that YouTube video we just selected. And again, that's all done under the Images tab. Next tab over is the Options tab. This is where you'll be able to specify options for your product. For example, if you sell clothing, different colors, different sizes, things of that nature. In our case, for the HTC Wildfire, it comes in 3 colors, so I'm going to add an option set for my colors. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Add Option, and that'll allow me to create the option label, in this case, color selections. And I can also specify the type of selection it'll be. It defaults to a drop-down menu. I kind of like radio buttons, so we're going to go with that. And we'll click on Add. Once I add that option label, it'll open up the section where I can add my option sets, in this case the individual colors. So let's go ahead and add these. First color is the standard cell phone silver that it comes in. It also comes in a black color. And last but not least, this particular phone also comes in a special edition metallic blue. Now, the metallic blue is a special edition, and it's about $20 more than the base price. So for value, I'm going to add a 20 there, and we'll click on Add. All right, so now let's look at our product. All right, so here we have our product, our images, our pricing info, and here's our option selection for the product. If I select silver or black, no change is made. However, if I select metallic blue, you'll notice that the price changes to $280. Now, I seem to have the particular feature turned off, but by default, there also will be a little legend next to this option selection that tells your customers exactly how much the price increases. I must have had it turned off by a mistake. Let's see if we can turn it back on real quick. Yep. Let's turn that off so you can see what it looks like. There we go. And again, it's a feature you can turn on or off however you see fit. We usually find it's best to turn it on only because it keeps people aware of how much something extra is, and it'll tell them that this option costs X amount more. Not to mention it also changes the price listing. All right, so that does it for the Options tab. Let's go over to the Related tab. This is where you'll be able to specify related items and cross-merchandise your products. there's two settings for related items. There's related products and there's also upselling items. Essentially, they're both the same exact thing. The only reason they're labeled differently is mostly for your own reference. The case of a related product is something like this. Let's say you're at a box store. You're looking at bed sheets. Usually, when you're in that aisle looking at all the different stuff, at the end of the aisle there'll be an end cap that has something related to that aisle that you were just in. So instead, let's say you're looking at bed sheets, you get to the end cap, you'll see pillowcases. That's an example of a related item. So for our example store here, my cell phone, I have two related items that I'd like to specify for it. So I click on Add. It takes me to a listing of my products where I can select the memory cards that I designated as related items. And next we have upselling items. Now again, essentially related products and upselling items are really the same exact thing. The only reason we have them labeled differently is because an upselling item is something that maximizes your profit potential. Again, it's more of a reference for your own benefit. An example of an upselling item is, let's say you're at a computer store and you buy a monitor. The monitor costs $150. However, with the monitor, you also buy a $20 cleaning kit. What you may not realize is that the markup on the monitor isn't very high at all. In fact, the store might actually be losing money on the monitor. But that $20 cleaning kit, that's where they made all their profit. That's an example of an upselling item. So for our store example here, I have two items for upselling: a stylus pen and a Bluetooth earpiece. Those are my upselling items, and we'll add those. Now let's look at our product. All right, so here's the product, the images, the options, description, video, and our related items are at the bottom. And rather than blatantly calling it an upselling item, we on the storefront call it accessories. And again, that's done under your related tab. All right, now, unfortunately, I don't have enough time for this webinar to go through every single tab, but feel free to explore throughout the interface itself, because we've also added a few tools in there to help you along the way if you ever get stuck in a particular spot. For example, let's go back to our information tab here. Some of you may have noticed that the individual sections also have these little information icons all over the place. We call them information bubbles, and basically what they do is when you hover your mouse over it, a little pop-up comes up and gives you a quick description of what that area is looking for. For example, the pricing, I mentioned the cost, the retail price and stuff earlier. This is an example where just by popping it up, it's giving you a brief description of what those fields are looking for. Another option we have is this Need Help button. Believe it or not, a lot of our trainees, when we get support trainees, they always use this Need Help button. Basically what it does is when you click on it, it gives you links to the various KB articles, knowledge base articles, videos, tutorials, everything we've ever written over the years. The really cool thing about the Need Help button, though, is that it's specific to whatever page you happen to be viewing at that time. For example, I'm editing a product, and you'll notice that all these links are to product information KBs. Whereas if I was in the Promotion Manager and I clicked on Need Help, I see only promotion links. So if you ever get lost, look for those two, the information bubbles and the Need Help button. And also, don't forget, we have 24/7 tech support. We're available by phone, email, chat, live chat, which is very popular with our merchants. So we're always here to help you. So if you ever get lost somewhere, feel free to give us a call as well. All right, so I've covered the first two main ways of adding products to your store. And as I mentioned, the first way of through the storefront is easiest. It comes in handy if you suddenly get a product that you absolutely must have on the store right away. It also comes in handy if you want to see the development of the product as you're adding it. A more popular version is by this version where you go through the online store manager and you add a product manually. However, as you can probably tell, it could get pretty tedious if you have hundreds and hundreds of products to add to your store. So for those, we have an export and import feature that you can use. If you go to Products all the way down to the submenu, Export Import. That will give you a listing of exports that you can do for your product line. What I usually suggest to our merchants is to create maybe 1, 2, or 3 products manually. Fill them to the brim. Every single field that you find, click it. Every single, fill it out with something. The reason I say that is because once you have those 2 or 3 products created, you can come to this section and you can export your data. And what that'll do is it'll generate a CSV file, a comma-separated value file, which is essentially just a spreadsheet file that lists all your products, and every single column will correspond to one of those settings. Here's an example of a CSV file. Now, the reason I usually suggest that you fill it to the brim is so that you can see what all of those individual columns really corresponds to. There's quite a few, as you can see. Now, this is a big time saver if you have hundreds and hundreds of products, because once you have an idea of what the columns are looking for, it's just really a simple matter of filling in the rest of the spreadsheet and uploading it. For example, there's I think there's 5 products on this spreadsheet that are not in my store right now, so let's go ahead and add those. Yes, right now I have 14 products. We're going to browse to that CSV file, and we're going to add our camera products. We'll insert and update them. Now if I look at my product line, there we have it. There's our camera products. So again, if you have hundreds and hundreds of products, this is the best way to go. But I still recommend starting slowly and manually adding products just so you can see where those CSV columns go to. All right, so once you've gotten the hang of building your store and adding products to your store and kind of customizing it a little bit, the next portion we're going to concentrate on is promoting your store, getting that traffic to it. So let's go over some of the tools that are built in to help you with the promotion aspects. First one I want to point out is the automatic SEO capabilities of the store. Now, SEO is basically search engine optimization, and basically what it's defined as, it's a series of techniques that you apply to a web page to make it more search engine friendly. Well, with 3dCart, just by adding products to your store, it's doing that for you. In fact, let's look at our HTC wildfire that we just created a little while ago. You saw me create this product with a product name, a short description, an extended description, as well as keywords to it. Well, just by me doing that, if I were to look at the source code of this product page, I'll right-click and view page source, you'll notice that the meta tag information just happens to correspond with all of that information that I entered. Just by simply me adding stuff to my store, it's already building the SEO portion of it for me. That's what we refer to as automatic SEO. We also have individuals that like a little bit more hands-on approach to their SEO, which is perfectly acceptable. And for those users, we have the meta tags tab. This is where you'll be able to specify more SEO capabilities for your products. For example, in the meta tags section here, if you use the tag wizard, it gives you 3 basic boxes that also have the description, abstract, which is the short description, as well as your keywords. So let's paste a few in here just so you can see how that works. And finally, our keywords. And when I click on the Create Meta Tags button, it automatically formats the meta tags for me. We'll click Save. Let's refresh our page and view the source code again. There you go. And there's our brand new meta tags created for it. So regardless of whether you want to have it done automatically for you or manually, just know that the store is helping as much as possible during the creation process. All right, up next is the use of shopping feeds. These are feeds that you can supply to shopping engines, shopping search engines. Basically, a shopping engine is basically a search engine for people that are looking for products to buy. For example, if I were to go to Google right now and look up HTC wildfire, I might see a couple of links, places selling it, but for the most part, all I would see is informational review sites, things of that nature. However, if I were to go to Google Shopping or Shopzilla or BizRate or any of those other shopping engines, all I would see is shopping or links to it. Well, with 3dCart, you can create and generate your shopping lists for those individual feeds. That's all done under the Marketing tab. And you'll see a section called Shopping Engines. And this is where you'll be able to specify which shopping engine you'd like to create a feed for. And basically what it does is it takes a file similar to that CSV file that I showed you a second ago, and it just really formats it in a way that the individual shopping engine will be able to read. For example, in Google, they refer to the manufacturer ID. We refer to it as an MFG ID, whereas Google refers to it as an MPN, a manufacturer part number. Basically, when we generate the feed, we're renaming it so that Google can read it. Now, if you're interested, we also have an integration with a company called GoDataFeed. And they're very interesting because what they do is instead of you having to create one individual feed for the individual shopping engines, GoDataFeed creates just one. And then they parse it to the individual shopping engines that you want to send it to. I believe their base price or their base service does up to 60 different shopping engines. So it's a big time saver. As far as I know, with GoDataFeed, they have a continuous special where the first 30 days of service with them is 99 cents. It's kind of their version of a trial version. So if you're interested and it's a big time saver, I really recommend GoDataFeed because they're really good at it. And the fact that it's just one feed is big time saver. All right, up next is the use of newsletters. Newsletters are basically HTML emails that you send to your customers or, in some cases, potential customers to notify them about your store. It could be anything. It could be a grand opening email. It could be, hey, check out these new product emails. With 3dCart, you can do that as well. Now, it used to be that for newsletters, you had to go with a separate service, but with 3dCart, we've actually integrated it. And again, that's under the Marketing tab, and it's called Mailing Manager. And adding a newsletter is as simple as clicking on Add Newsletter. We'll fill in the details real quick here. And as I mentioned, it is HTML type email. You can use HTML or straight text in this box, or use the WYSIWYG mode. When you turn on WYSIWYG mode for the newsletter, though, you also get what's called the Mailing Wizard. And that's just a series of templates we have pre-built for you that kind of make the job a little bit easier. Let's click on Next. And I can also use the Mailing Wizard to add products to my newsletter. Let's just click on a few random ones here. All right. And basically, what it's doing is it's allowing me to add my products to the newsletter, and once I'm ready, I can send it off to my subscribers. They could either be customers that I've already had, or new subscribers that have just subscribed to my mailing list. Great way of promoting your site. All right, another way of promoting your site is through the use of social media. Basically, the internet is one big social gathering network, and some of the tools that we have available for you is to use the social aspects of the internet to your benefit. One of the ways we have of doing that is through the use of a blog. Again, it used to be that blogs had to be hosted elsewhere. You would get either a Joomla blog or a WordPress blog, and you would tie it to your store either through a link or DNS changes. It wasn't exactly the most search engine friendly way of having a blog. So with 3dCart, we integrated a blog. If you go to social commerce and blog, you'll be able to create articles based on your store. Now, the blog can be used to educate your customers about new products that are coming out or goings-on with your store. A lot of our merchants have customer communities that they keep informed throughout the blog. 3dCart has a blog that we use for the same exact purpose. Now, you could either add a brand new article from scratch, like this one. And let's see if we can see this one real quick. Here's an example of a blog that was created from scratch, showcasing a brand new phone as well as a buy link to buy the phone itself. But that's just if you add the blog from scratch. You could also blog about products as you're adding them. Let's go to a random product here. Let's see. The button might be good. Yep. All right, so here I'm editing a product, an existing product. Down here at the bottom, very far bottom right, you'll see an icon that looks like dialogue bubbles that you would see in a comic strip. That's your social commerce tools. And there's a blog entry button here that is allowing you to blog specifically about whatever product you happen to be editing at that time. So let's create a new blog entry on this button. And let's save our changes. And just like that, I have a blog posting about a product that I'm selling. Again, the purpose of a blog is to keep your online community informed of goings on in the store, and you can use it to showcase your products as well. Another aspect of social media, which is very, very popular, is the use of a Facebook store. Now, everyone's familiar with Facebook. Everybody's probably on Facebook by now. It's the largest social gathering network on the internet. Now, what everybody is familiar with, though, is the Facebook profile. That's where you gather with friends, you reconnect with old friends from high school and whatnot. You play Farmville, you play Mafia Wars, all those little games on Facebook. But that's just one aspect of Facebook. Facebook also has a separate aspect that's called a business page. Now, with a profile, only you or your friends on your profile can see your profile and any information that you place on that profile. With a business page, on the other hand, it's pretty much a publicly accessible page that happens to be on Facebook. Now, the other difference between the two is that with a profile, you get friends, you connect with friends. On a fan or a business page, you get fans. Sometimes you'll see the term used as fan page instead of business page. That's why, because you get fans. So let's look at an example of a fan page that we created here. Here's an example of our 3dCart webinar fan page. Now, the question that always comes up is, why would I want to use this? Well, think about it. If I were logged into my Facebook profile right now and I clicked on like here, not only would I become a fan of this particular page, but it would also be shown on my feed on my Facebook profile, which means every single one of my friends would see that Henry Suarez likes this page. They might wonder why and go to it. Well, with 3dCart, you could also install the 3dCart Facebook app, which allows you to showcase your products on it and view all of the products as they're on the Facebook page. So not only are you using the largest social networking environment on the planet for free advertising, you're also using it to showcase your products. And I seem to be having some connectivity problems. There we go. And here we have our products all showcased to it. From there I can add to cart and it will take them directly to my store. So again, you're using the largest social networking environment to pretty much get free advertising. It's kind of a win-win situation. All right, and lastly, we have a new feature that we recently added just this past summer, and it's the ability to add daily deals to your site. Now, if anyone's ever been to Woot.com or RedTag or any of those daily deal sites, you'll notice that they're sites that basically sell one product a day at a greatly reduced price. Now, the main difference with those products and what you can do with 3dCart is that you don't have just one product, you have several products. But if you offer it as a daily deal, just one of those products, you'll get traffic, the same amount of traffic that those daily deal sites get, but you'll also be using that as an opportunity to reference your other products. Let's see, let me grab a product that I already have set up as daily deal here. Let me just activate a link that I have here so you can see how it looks. All right. Now, when you activate a daily deal, you're given what's called a widget. And the widget allows you to link to the product that's on sale. So I have it here under my special deals. This is my widget for the daily deal. It's a cell phone that I'm selling for 72% off. And when they click on it, they'll see my deal of the day. They'll see that it's expiring soon, and not only that, I could also use this as an opportunity to cross-reference my other products. The whole point of this is to kind of showcase that you're a site that offers a special deal at a regular basis. It could be a daily deal, it could be an hourly deal, it could be any kind of deal. One of our merchants uses instead of calling it a daily deal, he calls it a when it's gone, it's gone. The whole point, though, is to get people aware of the fact that you're selling something usually at a regular interval that is greatly reduced, so it'll garner that repeat visit. And while they're there, they could also see the rest of your store. So these are all great ways of promoting your site. Either you can use these independently of each other or in conjunction with each other. Use a newsletter to showcase your daily deals. Use your Facebook store or fan page to tell all your fans, hey, I have a daily deal going on. Regardless of how you use it, these are all great ways of promoting your store. So once you have that all done, we need to concentrate on the growth aspect of your store. So let's look at some of the tools that we have to help you with that. The first ones that I want to showcase are customer development tools. And by that I mean turning one-time customers into repeat customers. There's a couple of tools we have for that. One of the ones that I like to mention is the use of customer pricing groups. If you go to customer and customer groups, this is where you'll be able to add different pricing groups for different types of customers. Depending on how they log into the site, they'll go into one group or the other. Now, a lot of our merchants tend to use customer groups in a very black and white fashion. They go retail and wholesale, and that's it. It's kind of nearsighted, in my opinion, because you can do so much more with customer groups. You can have a long-time customer group or a customer loyalty group, something like that, where you give a slight discount to those customers. Friends of the store group, something along those lines. Basically, the point is to incentivize those customers into being repeat customers. That's an example of using a customer group. And with the marketing tools that I showcased earlier, you could even advertise those for those customers. Another couple of options that we have are found in the Settings General Store Module section. And those are automated task tools that we have. For example, they're all under here in the automated tasks section. There's automation rules. And basically what they do is, depending on how the order landed on your store, different tasks can be assigned to that customer. One example is, let's say you have a product that they purchase, a membership card. And once they purchase it, the store itself will automatically put them in their own special pricing group. That's an example of an automation task. Another example is, let's say you want to have an email sent to customers that ordered a specific product. You can create an automation task for those as well. So those are examples of automation tasks. There's also a couple of automated email scripts that we created. This one is interesting. It's the not completed orders email. And basically what it does is, well, first of all, you can change the settings however you see fit, but by default, what it does is it looks at all of your not completed orders. These are orders that, for whatever reason, somebody goes to your store, they get as far as adding their email address to the order, but for whatever reason, they leave. Well, with this little script, you can tailor an email that gets sent to them asking them why. Some merchants have, basically the email just says, you know, I noticed you were at the store, you didn't purchase your, finish the purchase, is there something I can help you with? I've seen some merchants use this email as an opportunity to add a promotion code to the email to further incentivize those customers. Hey, maybe an extra 5% off will change your mind. The whole point is to try to convert those possibly abandoned carts. Another script that we have, which is my personal favorite, is, where is it? Here we go. The Enable Product Reviews email. This one is similar to the not completed orders, but this one is for orders that have already been shipped. And again, you can change the settings however you see fit, but by default what it does is it waits 30 days after the order has been shipped, and it sends those customers an email. And the gist of the email is simply, you know, you've had your product for a while now, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Would you mind filling out a review for the product? And then gives them a link where they can fill out the review. I don't know about any of you, but I personally do not buy anything online unless I've read a few reviews on it, especially electronics equipment. There's so many variables involved that I would like to make an informed decision, and I use peer reviews to make that decision. Well, with 3dCart, you can have the script automatically do that for you. Will all of your customers take advantage of it? No. But those that do will help you hopefully sell the product even more. All right, and last but not least, we have some built-in reporting features that you can use. Those are all found under the Reports section, and there's all sorts of different topics you can choose from here. And when you click on any one of these, it'll give you a quick 30-day snapshot as well as a 6-month snapshot. Again, this store doesn't really do much business because it's just for a show, but your stores will look vastly different. And again, this is just a quick overview, but you also have individual reports available within those topics. For example, profit by order. Remember that cost field that I mentioned earlier? This is the type of a report where it comes in handy. It takes the order total, it calculates the order cost, and then calculates the profit that you made on those orders. So these are good reporting tools that you can use. In fact, you can use the customer reporting tools to find out who your top customers are. My test store only has one customer, so George Bailey is my top customer, so I can send him a newsletter email inviting him to one of my special pricing groups. So these are reports that help you kind of gauge how your store is doing and also kind of gauge where it's going to go. And lastly, our third-party integrations. These are integrations that we already have preset into the store for when your store takes off to that next level, and you may need a little bit more automation than what's available in the 3dCart by default. All of these are going to be found in the plugins section, and I'll go over some of the more popular ones. For example, the first one is our integration with StoneEdge. Now, for those that may not know, StoneEdge is a complete order management suite. It's a program you purchase directly from StoneEdge. You install it on your computer, and it does everything as far as order management. Now, with 3dCart, you can connect your StoneEdge program to your cart and have it automatically download the orders for you into the StoneEdge program. Now, the question comes up, well, why do that? Doesn't 3dCart have an order manager? Yes, we do. And it's good, but think about it. If you're only doing a few hundred sales a week, that's great, but if you're suddenly doing a few hundred sales a day, you may need something a little bit more robust like StoneEdge, where it allows you for batch processing and it helps automate a lot of those tasks. Again, these are for the growth portions where your store may take off to that next level where you need more automation so you can concentrate on the customer service portion of it. Another plugin integration that we have set up is similar to StoneEdge, but it's mostly for shipping, and that's through ShipWorks. Now, ShipWorks is a shipping label manager. And what it does is it connects to your individual accounts with the different carriers, FedEx, UPS, etc. And again, sort of like ShipWorks or StoneEdge, it downloads your orders to the program. However, what it does is really neat because once you have the order processed in your ShipWorks program, you can upload it back to the 3dCart store, and since it's already connected to these individual carriers, it also adds the tracking number to the order. Now, by default, the 3dCart store itself, once you set an order to shipped, it sends an email to the customer telling him that the order has been shipped. With ShipWorks, since it's also adding the tracking number, your customer is not only getting the email saying that the order has been shipped, but they're also getting on that same email a little blurb that says, oh, by the way, you can track the order here. And they click on it, and they're taken to their individual shipping carrier where they can track the order. So another big time saver. We also have integrations with many of the popular fulfillment centers. Now, a fulfillment center is basically, let's say you outgrow your warehouse space. You need more space. You need faster service to ship out all those orders because your store is really taken off. Well, a fulfillment center, the way it works is it's a distribution center that you send your products to. They hold it for you, and when an order comes in through your 3D cart store, they're automatically notified and they send out the order for you. The most popular, of course, is Amazon, because it's Amazon, and that's exactly how it works. You send all of your products to Amazon's distribution centers. They've got distribution centers all over the country, so you have quite a selection to choose from. Not to mention the fact that they're also Amazon and they have negotiated rates with UPS, so you might actually save money on shipping costs as well by using a fulfillment center. I've not been able to confirm this, but I've heard from a lot of our merchants that the Amazon Fulfillment by Amazon service that they offer, within 15 minutes of them getting the order, it's out the door. So they're really, really fast. So if you outgrow your warehouse space and you want to look into something more of a fulfillment center, give Amazon a look-see as well. We also integrate with e-fulfillment services, ShipWire, and We Fulfill It as well. And they all basically work the same way. When an order comes in, it's sent to them and they ship it out for you. You collect the money. And lastly, we have an integration with a company called International Checkout. This one's very interesting. I've been working with e-commerce for close to 10 years now. Actually, I think it's already reached the 10-year mark. And one thing I've always noticed with online stores is when that first international order comes in, wow, that can be a really scary prospect. You know, there's so many questions that go through someone's head. Is it a valid credit card? Is it fraudulent? Am I allowed to ship to that country? Is it legal? So many questions. Not to mention the fact that when you go to ship to a foreign country, sometimes the shipping cost itself is more than the product. It's gotten to the point where a lot of merchants just simply say, no, I'm not going to ship internationally at all. Well, this company, International Checkout, came out with a rather interesting solution to it. Basically what they do is this. You sign up for an account with them, and I should mention it's free to sign up for an account with them. And what they do is they create a profile on their service for your business. What we do is once you're integrated with them is we add a button to your site very similar to this one. And basically the way it works is this. Let's say you have a customer from Beijing, China. He goes to your store, he adds a product to the cart. When he gets to the final checkout pages, he'll see a button very similar to this. It says, if you live outside of the U.S., click here for international checkout. They click on it, and the product, everything is taken to your profile at International Checkout, where they pay for the product, they pay for shipping, they pay for customs, anything that needs to be paid for. They do it at International Checkout. They basically pay International Checkout for the product. Within 24 hours of that order being processed, a representative from International Checkout goes to your store, they log in, they purchase the product for the customer. Here's the beauty of it, though. You're not being paid by a credit card from Beijing. You're being paid by International Checkout's credit card, which is U.S.-based. Secondly, when you ship the product, ultimately, you're not sending it to Beijing. You're sending it to Van Nuys, California, where International Checkout is headquartered. So right then and there, you're servicing a international customer, but you're being paid in U.S. dollars, and you're shipping domestically. International Checkout gets the product, they send it to the customer, they take care of customs, they take care of all the tariffs, they take care of everything else. If the customer were to return the product, they would adhere to your return policies. They take care of everything. So if you're a little hesitant about shipping internationally later on, I'd give International Checkout a look-see. All right, so that about does it for my presentation. I'm going to open up the floor for some Q&A. I think we already have a few questions that were asked here, so bear with me a moment. Oh, excellent question. Email newsletter. Is there a limit to how many emails you can send to at one time? Yes, there is. It depends on the type of account that you have. I'm not sure if it's on the main 3dCart page. Let's see. Usually on our pricing section, we'll have the limits. All right, I think it might actually be in well, I have a cheat sheet here in front of me. For the mini plan, you can send up to 1,000 emails per month. For the starter plan, which is the $35.99 plan, in fact, while I'm reading this off, let me show you this page so you can see which ones I'm referring to. All right, so for the $19.99 mini plan, you have 1,000 emails you can send per month. For the starter plan, the $35.99 one, you can send up to 2,000 emails per month. Gold plan is 5,000 emails. The professional plan is 25,000 emails, and the power plan, the $129.99 plan, is 30,000 emails per month. So in answer to your question, yes, it depends on which kind of plan that you have. Okay, what about list segmenting and management? I'm assuming you mean for newsletters. That can be done through the interface itself under marketing, again, mailing manager. And you can manage your subscribers. You can manage your subscription groups. You can have individual groups, for example, potential customers, new customers, things of that nature. You can also create what's called smart lists. These are rather interesting. I haven't had a chance to play around with them too much, but basically what they are is they're SQL statements for the database, and very similar to the automation rules that I mentioned earlier, a little bit more fine-tuned though. You can specify, if you know SQL well enough, you can specify tasks so that it, based on how that order came in, you can create a smart list for those customers. So let's say you have, we're in Florida, and usually the theme parks have what's called a Florida residence discount. You can do something similar, where if all the orders that came in from a specific state or a specific city, they go into this email bracket where you can email them. Okay, how many different shopping feeds exist? My business is selling dental products to dentists and dental labs. More business to business than business to consumer. As far as how many shopping engines exist in total, I have no idea. There's probably many. For B2B businesses, I'm sure there's very specific ones. As far as our integration, where we create the shopping engine feeds, we only have the 9 that are shown here, but doesn't necessarily mean that you're stuck, you know, in the water. What I would suggest is checking with GoDataFeed, seeing if they have any specific ones for business to business that they pre-integrate for. If not, also check with the individual shopping engines that those B2B businesses use. The reason I say that is because with the 3dCart interface, everything is pretty much database driven. So just by creating a CSV file of all of your products and all your categories, it might take a little bit of legwork, but once you have like a custom export set up, you can automatically generate these for yourself, and it's just really a simple matter of changing the headers on it. So Oh, excellent question. If we missed a section, can we watch again when this is over? Yes, absolutely. I happen to be recording this particular version of the webinar. We also have a pre-recorded version which pretty much covers the same information. All I really did today is I updated the slides so they look prettier on this version. But you'll get an email in about an hour after this webinar ends, and it'll show you a link to view the pre-recorded version. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, if you go to youtube.com/3dCart, I'm pretty sure we have the 3 individual sections of the webinar posted on there as well. But as I mentioned, you'll get an email with a link to the video as well. Also, can you integrate pre-existing sites built outside of 3dCart? Excellent question. There's 2 ways of answering that. There's sites that are just standalone sites, and then there's commerce sites. For example, let's say you're coming from one of our competitors to 3dCart. The answer is yes, for the most part, on both questions. So let's go with A. If it's a site, a standalone site, and you just want to incorporate it with 3dCart, yeah, there are ways of doing that. What some of our merchants that have come to that have done is they'll create a subdomain. So let's say instead of henry.com, they'll have store.henry.com, and that's the 3dCart portion of stuff. That's the store, the products, but they still have their standalone site still working. Some other customers have taken their HTML files from the other site, and they kind of create like a little landing area, and then that links to the store in very similar ways. So the answer to that portion is yes. Now, if you're coming from a competitor and you're moving from them to 3dCart, there are ways of integrating, kind of transferring everything to 3dCart. It really depends on who the competitor is. If you look at our App Store, here, let's go there real quick. If you go to the main 3dCart page, under App Store, let's see, where are they going to be? There is an integration we have with a company that's all they do. They move from one competitor to the other, and it's basically they grab all of your data and they move it to whoever you happen to be going towards. I'll have to find them, unfortunately, because I don't see where they might be right now. Yeah, I don't have the exact name of them right now, but yeah, basically what they do is they'll grab all of your data, and for a fee, of course, they'll move it to your 3dCart store. It's also very easy for the do-it-yourselfers to do as well, because a lot of online e-commerce sites are database-driven, and they all pretty much have CSV files. It's really just a matter of changing the column to match whatever your destination is. Any linkage to Bing Business and Google+? Not currently. I believe there is something in the pipeline for Google+. I'm not 100% sure on Bing Business, but I have heard of Google+. In fact, I just recently found out that Google+ also just recently started allowing you to create a fan page very similar to a business page very similar to Facebook. So that might be something that's in the works sooner than I expected. Is 3dCart programming been tested for cross-browser issues, or is it primarily coded for certain browsers? If so, which ones? Yeah, no, we do our best to cross-test it amongst the different browsers. We have the different Mac browsers. I usually use Firefox, to be honest, for browsing the store. One thing I've always known or learned in hosting, though, when it comes to designing, always design for IE first. If the reason I say that is because IE is probably the least forgiving browser of them all out there. So you'll design something that looks beautiful in Firefox because you've been looking at it in Firefox for hours and hours, and you're coding and coding and coding, and the second you open it up in IE, everything is all messed up to the side. So always design for IE, and that's typically what our designers do. They'll design for IE, and then they'll check it on all the other browsers, because as I mentioned, IE is not very forgiving. Oh, do you know approximately how much the international shipping service you demoed costs? Typically, since there's definitely challenges in shipping receiving funds internationally. Well, as far as for the merchant, it's actually free to sign up with international checkout. It's completely free. The money that they make is mostly based on the shipping charges that they charge to the international customer. They do have negotiated rates, so they are able to offer a bit of a discount to the customer as well. But most of their margin is made on the shipping costs that they charge to the international customer. As far as the merchant goes, there's very little, if any, charge at all. They're free to sign up with. Another one that we recently integrated with, which is very, very similar, but a little bit more fine-tuned as far as if you have concerns about your products and whether some products are allowed internationally or not. They're also found in the plugin section, except they're in the shipping area, and it's called Bongo Checkout. And it works pretty much the same way. However, they're a little bit more fine-tuned. One thing about Bongo Checkout is that they may take a little bit longer to customize your account with them to your products. But that can be good and that can be bad. It's good in that you have a little bit more control and as to what gets sent out and how it's done. They also try to keep a database going of your products, so they'll actually inspect the product and try to minimize the package size as much as possible in order to be more cost effective. But on the bad side is it does take longer, whereas international checkout is usually pretty quick. So you have kind of a choice between the two. Bear with me, a lot of questions came in all at once here, so let me just read through these real quick. Now, if I do miss any questions, I do apologize. But usually, what I do is at the end of the webinar, I download all of the questions that were asked, and I'll try to get you an answer as quickly as possible. So let me just read through here a few. I beg your pardon. It's just that the GoToMeeting interface kind of shrinks down a little bit when you ask too many questions, so it's kind of hard to read them and keep up with them. If I wanted to hire someone from Odesk or Elance to build a site, do you have a checklist that could be used to ensure that they are leveraging all of the features of your shopping cart? Yeah. It's what I've seen with a lot of external designers is they'll take the templates, and here let me. It might be easier if I showed you. Let's go to Settings and Template Editor. There's two ways of seeing this. If you go to 3dCart.com/guide, you will see a listing of all of the different variables that are shown in the templates. Every single variable that we have within the templates are contained within brackets. Basically what it's doing is it's the ASP portion of the backend software is taking whatever's in these brackets and incorporating it into the page during final render. So what your designers can do is looking at any of the templates, if they view any single one of them, you'll notice that there's bracketed stuff all over the place, and that usually corresponds to something about the store. So you'd be surprised how familiar a lot of external designers are with the 3dCart service. So I'd have them look at those two things first, the 3dCart.com/guide, and then the actual templates themselves. And I think we have time for one last question. Bear with me just a moment. Oh, excellent question. Are 3dCart sites hosted on your servers, or can someone have it on their own server? They're hosted on our own servers. That's something I'm afraid that needs to be done for PCI compliance. It's not an open source software that we can just have someone host on their own servers. But we do also have dedicated server offerings if you're concerned about being in a shared hosting environment with resources and traffic. We do have dedicated services that you can pursue. You can just check with our sales guys and they'll be able to help you out with that. So, all right, it looks like I'm out of time. I'm just going to pop up this slide here real quick. This is the informational sites for all of 3dCart. Obviously our 3dCart homepage, but also our support portal, which is our KB. This support.3dcart.com contains all of our articles, tutorials, videos, everything we've created over the years to help with designing and running your site. We also have the forums. Oops, let's block that. We also have the forums here. If you're a 3dCart member, I highly recommend signing up for the forums. We have a very unique forum where the users are very helpful in the forum, and the user base is made up of longtime 3dCart merchants who really know their way around the software, as well as new merchants who are just starting out. But the longtime 3dCart users are not just longtime 3dCart users, they're longtime e-commerce merchants. So if you're just starting out in the business, it's a wealth of information because they have a lot of tips and tricks that you can learn from them. One thing that I've seen a lot recently in the forums is a new customer will come in and say, hey, I just redesigned my site, can I get some critiques? And the existing merchants they'll be honest. They'll be honest. They won't be mean about it, which is very encouraging and very nice to see. Nobody is ever really that mean on the forums. but they'll be honest. If there's something that you should consider changing, they'll tell you. Next, we have the blog, the 3dCartblog.com. That's where we have our blog postings, and it's made up of articles posted by our various partners. In some cases, some of our existing merchants that, again, they've been online merchants for quite a while, and they're pretty much experts in their field, have been posting to the blog as well. Our YouTube channel, where you'll find pre-recorded versions of this video and this video that I'm recording right now, our Twitter feed, and of course our phone number, 800-828-6650. As I mentioned, we're open 24/7. Where support is available via email, phone, and the very popular live chat version. So feel free to give us a call if you ever need us. I want to wish you all the best of luck with your stores, and if you ever need us, by all means, please give us a call, give us an email, and be on the lookout for that email that you'll get in about an hour showcasing where you can review this video. Thanks again, and everyone, have a great day. Bye-bye.